Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, the show where faith meets focus and potential becomes purpose. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, mental performance coach, speaker, and believer that greatness begins within. Each episode, we'll uncover the biblical principles, mindset strategies, and daily disciplines that help student athletes, parents, and leaders just like you walk boldly in their calling. Let's step onto the path that leads to true greatness, God's way. Hey, welcome back to the Pathways to Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, and today's going to be a freestyle. Let's say freestyle. So it's been, in a good way, chaos here at the house with volleyball tournaments and travel. And again, I'm really struggling to get people to commit to recording. I do have some scheduled and not ready to go, but scheduled on the calendar. So hopefully the next couple will actually be somebody other than myself. But again, I've been enjoying these. I hope you've enjoyed them as well. Hopefully I haven't lost listeners because I don't have any interesting guests so far. But hey, it is what it is. So I want to keep this streak alive and make sure that I'm recording. I will say that this one's coming out late. So I've missed my recording to get it out at 5:45 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'm recording this. It's 8:26 on a Tuesday. I just ran out of time yesterday. Had a lot of different things going on that I needed to take care of, but you know what? Better late than never. So this one's going to be coming out as soon as this thing uploads. And so for me, this one's going to be a thought, and I felt this would be a good one to share for a couple of reasons. I wanted to share some thoughts about this on Instagram. However, my kids never like me to share too much, and so I figured if I share here, none of their friends listen to podcasts anyways. And if they did, they would appreciate the message that I'm going to share today. But those of you who do listen, will appreciate this, and you'll understand not why my kids would be concerned with this, but I also want to respect what they say. And there's certain pictures that I don't put up on Instagram because, there's some pictures people just don't like. They're not bad pictures. They're just like, I don't like the way my face looks in that one, and I don't like the way this one and the lighting on that one. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But on here, it's pretty safe because they don't listen to the podcast. And I know that their friends don't either. So I'll tee this up for you. So that way everybody has context and understands where this is coming from. And this is a proud dad moment. So what I'm going to share with you is something that has made Tammy and I very, very proud of Lorelai, and has nothing to do specifically with her performance on the court. So those of you who follow me, and again, if you've listened to this for any time, you know both of my kids are highly involved with sports. And today we're going to talk about Lorelai, and she plays at 407 Volleyball Club here in Orlando, and she's on the 15 Orange team, which is the top team for that age group. Orange is their number one's team in the club, and that's a very prestigious. In any club that you play at, if you play on the ones team, that means they see you as being one of the best players within the club. And she had earned her right to be there. Now, there's also two other girls that play the same position that in other elements of their game have separated themselves from her. So she plays third middle, meaning that she doesn't play as much as the other two. And it's been tough. And as you can imagine, as a 15-year-old, difficult, but she's handled it with a lot of grace. Hasn't come without tears. Again, understandable for sure. Frustration on her part in certain aspects, but it's also driven her to work harder and to stay focused as much as a 15-year-old can. And again, we're extremely proud of her. Well, the situation came up where the 16 Orange team had an injury to one of the positions, the middle blocker position, which is what Lorelai plays on their team. So last tournament in it was Louisville. They ended up having to play another player out of their original position at the middle blocker position, which took them out of where they had been excelling, put them into a position that they were uncomfortable with, which again is I commend that player for stepping outside of what she was normally able to do, but it just didn't go well for the team. So going into this Northeast qualifier, they needed someone to play middle blocker who knew middle blocker. And so the head coach of that team reached out to Lorelai and asked, would she be willing to play up in the 16s, which again is a big honor because you're asking a 15-year-old to play with 16-year-olds. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but many adults know, most of us know and realize a year at that age is different. Now, when you get to our age, the difference between 52 and 53, it's very, very minimal. But at that age, just a physical maturity, there's a lot of difference. And so it was really cool that she was asked. Well, that's where I wanted to share some things with you and challenge you to think about when have you been put in a positive, uncomfortable position, and how did you decide, and did you take the chance, knowing that you'd be uncomfortable and there was a high probability that you wouldn't do great at whatever you were going to do? So she reached out and she asked, and there were some things that we had to make sure that protected Lorelai in her position on the 15s team. It's super complicated. Well, kind of complicated, and I won't bore you with everything. The biggest question, one of the questions that she had, apart from what I'm going to go into in a minute, is if her team qualified, would she still be able to play with them the rest of the season? So they had to reach out to USA Volleyball to make sure that everything would be okay, because they had to take her off of the 15 roster and put her on the 16s roster. So you can imagine the anxiety that is created when you have someone who's played with these girls since the beginning of the year. Most of these girls she's played with for 2 seasons already, because they came over to 407 from the other club. And now there's a probability that if something happens, that she won't get to continue to play with them. Now, there was also a risk if the 16s team qualified and she's on that roster. And when I say qualify, that means qualifies for nationals. That means that's where she would have to stay for the rest of the season. Now, we knew based on what we had seen and the other teams that are in 16s that they probably wouldn't qualify. There was a chance. There's always a chance when you step on the court that you could, upset the heavy hitters. And we were willing to take that chance. The biggest thing I feel like that, other than those things that Lorelai was challenged with, was, can I do it? Can I perform in a place where other people seem to be better, seem to be more prepared, seem to be more equipped to handle? And it was tough for her. It was tough for her because she wanted to play with her friends. So she was familiar with, several of the girls on the 16s team, but didn't really know them that well because she doesn't spend a ton of time with them. So think about it for you. If you're an adult listening to this, which most of you are, I think all of you are, and you take yourself out of your work environment that you've been at for 3 or 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, you're moved, doing the same job at a different company. Are you uncomfortable? How do you get to know other people? How do you take, an opportunity that you had where there was great chemistry, you loved everything that you were doing, but now you've been elevated to a different company? Maybe it's a bigger company with more potential and more opportunity, but you're doing the same job at a different company. Now everything's new, everything's different. the camaraderie that you've had with the other team that was so special isn't there. The newness is felt in a way that is fear and anxiety. So you have all these challenges when you go into something new, and this is what Lorelai was facing. And again, as adults, and her coaches were unbelievable. So Maddie, the head coach of the 16s team, and then Trey with the 15s team, they see the potential. They see the benefit of this opportunity to go and remember, she was going to be third middle. Now she's also coming off of an injury that sidelined her for 3 weeks. So she missed 3 weeks of practice. She missed an entire tournament. So she was going to have to work her way back into the rotation on the 15s team, which again is still a rotation, even if it's an even rotation of the girls, that there's going to be sets that you just don't play. There could be entire matches that you don't play, which again is difficult on the mind. But she understood that. Now going into 16s, now this is a national qualifier. So coaches from all over the country from universities and colleges are coming to watch people play. Here's an opportunity for her to be seen, because she was never going to come off the court. Now, meaning that, of course, there's rotations where she's not going to play all the way around, but she's going to play every single set of every single match for the 16s team. Huge opportunity, unbelievable opportunity. So again, when you're faced opportunities in life, are you going to revert and go towards comfort and say, you know what, I know this is a cool opportunity, but I'm just comfortable. I just want to stay with my friends. I want to do the things that I'm always used to doing, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. Are you, though, going to stretch and challenge yourself? Are you going to go further in life by stepping outside your comfort zone? So through some prayer and some thought, Lorelai made this. We encouraged her that this would be a great opportunity. The coaches encouraged her it would be a great opportunity, and there would be no repercussions if she said no. They understood why she would want to say no, but they felt like this would be the best move for her. So she took all of those things together as a 15-year-old and made the decision to play. And so they played Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on Thursday, they had an opportunity to practice as a team the first time. And again, she's familiar with these girls, but she hasn't played with them. She hasn't spent very much time, at all with any of these other than seeing them at practice and saying hello and knowing their names. So she was nervous, understandably. So Thursday she went in, practiced. And so we didn't know, because it's a closed practice. We weren't able to be there. And fortunately, she had a great practice, and she came back. She was all smiles, was excited about the day, and honestly had a great tournament. She had a really good opportunity to play. She had a great opportunity to see what was life outside of her team currently. And it created a lot of gratitude for her. It gained her an opportunity to look at the game differently, to compare the 16s game as a whole, not just with the team that she was playing on, but just the whole versus the 15s. And it was really cool to watch her piece those things together. And there were moments of where, again, she missed her team. She was like frustrated that she didn't get to go watch, because they literally played every match at the same time. So she wasn't able to go watch other than the last day. And so it's tough to be on the outside looking in, but we're so extremely proud of how she stepped up and how she processed through everything. And so we've challenged her, and I need to follow up on that today, of what are the key that she needs to write down, the key learnings that she had in playing with the 16s, and what are the elements of gratitude that she has when she goes back and is playing with the 15s, which she is now. She's back on the 15s because the 16s injured player is should be back for the next tournament. But it was a great opportunity. And like I said, Tammy and I are extremely proud, and the coaches are very proud of her stepping out of her comfort zone and having the maturity level to be able to go and play. And then the one part that I was waiting to share till now is her position as a leader as soon as she stepped on our court. Again, she didn't know these girls. So how many of us, when we don't know someone, I'm raising my hand, and we don't have that familiar comfort level with them, we just stay quiet. We don't lead. We don't share our knowledge because of fear of what are they going to think. But this girl, she went right in there and she started cheering. She was her. It was so neat to watch, is that she was who she is with her 15s team, with the 16s team. She was cheering them on. She was coaching them up on the court. She was, helping people move where they needed to be, direct people. And it was really fun to watch. And I hope that others that were observing understood exactly what was going on. I will say that the parents of the 16s team were awesome. They were so great. They were so welcoming. They were so appreciative of her choosing to play with the team. And that was, as a parent, having other parents come up and give you compliments on your child is the best. It's like a drug. I can't get it enough. And they were thankful that she played, but then they were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe, how she's just stepped right in. Like, she's one of the girls, and how she was coaching and leading and cheering. And so other parents saw that, and it was really neat to see. And that's the proud moment. And of course we're proud of our kids and their performance in school and their performance in sports. But as I was telling Deuce the other day, what we're most proud of is when other people come to us and tell us how our kids make them feel, because it's good. It's not bad. And they do things in such a way that represents their character. It represents who we had hoped that they would be when we're not around. And so I know this is a typical episode that I normally do. I just wanted to take a moment to brag on her and to brag on the opportunity, and also challenge you and think of those times in life. When are you challenged to do something that's really uncomfortable? Something that the initial voice in your head is, don't do this because you potentially could fail. Don't do this because you're not qualified. Don't do this because you're scared. And step into it. Really think about, what are the benefits? What are the things that you can control and can't control? What are the downside to doing it? Seek counsel. So those are all things, and hopefully this real world story of all those things that I just shared represent all the things that she did. She weighed the pros and the cons. She sought counsel from people that she trusted and valued their opinion, because they were further along than she is. I'm sure she talked to her friends. We weren't privy to those conversations, but they were all extremely supportive. So the other thing that I would say is that just look at each situation each day that you have. And if you want to grow and you want to get better in life, are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Are you getting uncomfortable doing certain things? Have you prepared enough that if you go do something that's uncomfortable, that you feel like that you're performing? So that's the controllables. So if she had not done the work, if she had not shown and proven herself in practice and other games, the coaches would not have reached out. I guarantee you that if they did not think she was capable, they wouldn't have just put a body in there to put a body in there. But they needed her. They wanted her to come, and she delivered. it was awesome. It was such a great moment to see. So I don't know if that made any sense today. I wanted to share it. I couldn't share it anywhere else because I want to brag on her and the young lady that she is. We're so very proud of her and what she represents and her heart for other people. She cares so much for other people, and sometimes that's tough and it can hurt. But overall, it was such a wonderful weekend. Glad to be home. Glad that you're listening. Glad that I got this out today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have Lorelei Forrester as my hero, one of my heroes. And for that, I say, I'm Jeff Forrester, and this is Pathways to Greatness podcast.